Astrophotometry log. It's June 8th, 2011. It's approximately 0101 UTC at the time of this recording. What you're looking at here is an animation in the Soho Lasco C2 camera. And this is a standard coronal mass ejection, more or less. This is pretty far north. It's unusually far north and will be probably associating with a northern cyclone. But I want to draw your attention to the form of the mass that's ejected, the consistency of the mass that's ejected. And there was another coronal mass ejection, much larger mass, that was ejected down here on the 6th. And if you look at the consistency of this mass, you'll see that this mass persists and it's sort of chunky, has a sort of chunky consistency to it. And this is something that may be a correlation to a recent event. There was a very large volcanic eruption that may correspond with more or less this sort of latitude right here. If you bring the coronal mass ejection into the center of the disk, the country of Chile just experienced an incredible volcanic eruption, and I'll link these pictures from the Associated Press in the comments area. You can see there's this volcanic lightning, and this is something that I have associated with storms previously, that I've shown a correlation between the coronal mass ejection and the tropical cyclones. And I've been looking for a connection between volcanic eruptions. I did one forecast so far for a volcanic eruption. It was a failure. And I was trying to nail down the Iceland volcano to see when it would be erupting again. And it really didn't erupt as it was sort of expected to. But this is a very, very interesting correlation between the timing of this coronal mass ejection on the 6th and this volcanic eruption down in Chile. And what I'm concerned about, and this is sort of a way that we could potentially validate this theory, is that there's another coronal mass ejection with even more texture, even more seemingly mass to the ejection that is sort of on its way. And so there is another very, very large coronal mass ejection that just happened on the 7th. And I'm very concerned about that volcano down in Chile because this mass is so large, and because the consistency of it seems to be the sort of thing that might be associated with a higher density of mass on the Earth in its hypersymmetric movement. Now, in astrophotometry, the sun is understood to be a sort of lord of time. It's the primary time axis in astrophotometry, and so the time flows out as gravity pulls in the other direction, and the sun, being the largest source of gravity theoretically in the solar system, is what I refer to as the primary time axis. And so through the primary time axis, this indicates some fairly significant movement of mass. And so this is a movement in time that is approaching the Earth's mass. That's how it's modeled in astrophotometry. And it will be very interesting to see what happens with this. Unfortunately, I'm very concerned about this this development. My prayers go out to the people in Chile, and I hope that this is not something that is going to be become more of a global sort of concern with the amount of ash that could be released if there is a proportionality between the ejection that was responsible for what we've seen so far, if this is what we've seen so far, and there is more on the way, if this is what's on the way, this could be a fairly serious situation. And so I'm watching this very closely. I've been doing a lot of other research and a lot of other work trying to model the hypersymmetry of what is happening with Fukushima, because in astrophotometry, the photon and the high energy particles are modeled very differently than in the standard physics. And so I've been trying to wrap my head around the significance of having all of this radioactive material released into the environment. And that is not going too well as far as being able to articulate it. And I apologize for that. Also, the Earth has now exited a solar wind stream from this coronal hole. This is back on the 1st of June, went across the solar limb. And so I'm concerned that now that the solar wind stream is gone from this, that we could see a fairly significant seismic event in the northern hemisphere. This could correspond to a aftershock in Japan. It could also correspond to another seismic event between about 15 and 40 degrees north latitude. It could be a little farther south. It could be as far south as 12 or 14 degrees, possibly. But between 15 and 40 degrees, most likely north, we could be seeing an earthquake in the next few days from this. And there's been so much solar activity that the solar wind has been disturbed by these additional events. And so the solar wind is shaken up, which is a good thing for this issue. This looked like a fairly serious earthquake. This is something that I thought might be possibly 7.5, possibly even greater in magnitude. And so hopefully not, but possibly in the next 3 days, we could see an earthquake in the northern hemisphere between 15 and about 40 degrees north. Don't know where the location is. Most likely Japan. Second, most likely could be either California or possibly the New Madrid Fault, not likely. So that's it for now. Thanks for watching.